All right, y'all, we are back with another video. And shout out to y'all for enjoying these videos right here of Candace Owens absolutely exposing Kamala Harris. And you know why? Because the mainstream media would not do this. They just allow Kamala Harris to tell lie after lie after lie, won't fact check her, won't do anything, just continuously let this woman lie to the American people. It's one of the reasons, and majority of the reason why I say we need to get President Trump back in the White House immediately. It's the only way we can save our country, because Kamala Harris don't care about anybody else but Kamala Harris. Look how she treated the people who just went through the hurricane and stuff like that, Hurricane Helene. She do not care. Joe Biden do not care. President Trump took time out his day to go down there to talk to the people, to take supplies and stuff down there. He's what's best for America. That's who we need in the office is President Trump. But let's dive back into this where Candace Owens is exposing Kamala Harris. She said, who is Kamala's father? Because remember, we can't find his birth certificate. So what is they hiding? And this is what Candace is finna get down to now. So please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. That way you can stay up to date with everything that goes on, and every time Candace drop these type of videos and stuff like that, make sure you are subscribed, because we're going to keep them coming, because we're going to get to the truth and find out what Kamala Harris is hiding from the American people. So like I said, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive straight into it. Like I said before, so the video can get out more, please hit that like button, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and let's go.
So I am totally like a crazy person obsessed with this investigation, because there is something so right in front of our face that we are stumbling upon, and this woman now scares me. I'm very scared by somebody who can just put on an entire act about their identity, and I'm very scared about what I'm coming across through all of these files, searching things, these slight name changes, taking on different identities. It seems pretty obvious to me that we are hitting upon some sort of an organized communist cell. You know, yesterday I had asked you guys to please send me anything regarding Alvis Cambridge's marriage to Cynthia Cambridge, because I couldn't find anything about it. And somebody did find something. He changed the spelling, or maybe if we're being nice here, the journalist got the spelling of his marriage announcement wrong, but they did find it in the Kingston Gleaner. So I just want to start there, because I want to provide that update. Here it is. Alvis Cambridge's marriage announcement in the Kingston Gleaner, dated June 30th, 1953. It reads, the wedding of Miss Cynthia Lopez, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. H.A. Lopez of, it's a little cut off here, but Bushy St. Catherine Parish, it looks like, and Mr. Alvis St. Elmo Cambridge, the son of Mr. and Mrs. U.L. Cambridge. It goes on to state elsewhere that Mr. Beavis Campbell was best man, and Mr. John Strudwick, who I recognize because that would be Carmen's husband. In case you're wondering who Carmen is, that is White Iris's sister, because she was the maid of honor in their wedding, and she eventually gets married to somebody with the last name Strudwick. So John Strudwick was, in fact, the best man here. So this is a very, very close family for him to be the best man. And Raymond Stewart were ushers at the ceremony, which was performed by Reverend J. Leslie McPherson. Now, even of more interest is they also have the exact same wedding song as Iris Cambridge and Oscar Harris. Again, these people seem pretty close-knit, almost a little too close-knit. But I do want to point out there that it says Alvis Cambridge's parents are Mr. and Mrs. U.L. Cambridge. So that is either incorrect, or that is an intentional deviation, or rather just not a match. Because if we go back and take a look at Iris and Oscar Harris's wedding announcement, if we're going to pull that up. So this is Iris, whatever you want to call her, Cambridge's wedding announcement to Oscar Harris. We can see that the names of the parents are different, just slightly different. We have, what was it, A.L. Cambridge, Mr. and Mrs. I got to find it here, bouquet by her father. I just don't see it in this little tidbit that you've pulled up, but I'm pretty sure it's A.L. Cambridge. So they have different initials. I know that V.S. Cambridge right there at the top. Mr. and Mrs. V.S. Cambridge versus Mr. and Mrs. U.L. Cambridge. So does that signify to us that they are not related, that they're lying about their parents' names? I could not find a Mr. and Mrs. UL Cambridge, anywhere in St. Elizabeth Parish in Jamaica at this time. And again, we cannot find Alviz's birth certificate. So this is just another huge question mark. But what we do know for certain is that he was exceedingly close to Iris Cambridge. Everyone who has emailed me, and based on my own research, it looked like they were brother and sister. Now we're wondering maybe they're first cousins. We definitely know that they spent the majority of their lives together. There are so many pictures of Alvis and White Iris hugging all throughout their lives, holding hands, all of this, which was posted under his obituary. Just so many pictures proving that the three of them, his wife Cynthia Lopez, White Iris, and him, were exceedingly close and lived in the Broward County area. Not only that, but they traveled together here to America. They landed in Miami together aboard a ship. Now, I want to show you something that's actually fascinating. So we've already deduced that for whatever reason, they, and by they, I'm referring obviously to Kamala's family, particularly Donald Harris and Kamala herself, are trying to pass off via a sleight of hand White Iris as Black Iris, okay? I break this down again. To be real careful here. Black Iris is Iris Finnegan. He claims that Iris Finnegan, Black Iris, is Kamala's great-grandmother. She claims that it's her great-grandmother in her book, and we see no evidence of that aside from this picture, which Donald claims that he shot of Kamala sitting on her.
If anybody look at this picture right here, it kind of look like this woman is just a housekeeper, like she's someone who just watches your child, like if the parents got to go somewhere, you know what I'm saying, to go out or something. And she's like the grandmother or the person that'll come over and just watch the child. And that right there was what Candace was saying. So it's like, why would Kamala Harris put, like I say, a woman and a black woman in her book and say that's her grandmother? Like, why would she do that? So it's getting to the point now where we feel like that she's hiding something. Because if you could tell the way she talk in the media, all she do is lie. So how can we take her book serious? And she tell lie after lie after lie. She's on video saying things and then get in front of the camera and say she didn't say it. So if she's doing that when there is proof that we can see it, how can we believe anything in this book?
Her lap, I felt that Iris was the help. What we know about Iris Finnegan is that her maiden name is Allen. So she was born Aura Iris Allen Finnegan. Okay, and then she marries allegedly Patrick Finnegan and takes on the Finnegan last name. Okay, White Iris, on the other hand, was born Iris Cambridge and takes on the last name Harris, and she also has a baptismal name named Vioris, so she becomes Iris Cambridge Harris. Well, check this out. Okay, in 1958, Cynthia Cambridge and her now husband, Freemason Alvis Cambridge, arrived on a first-class ship into Miami from Jamaica. And aboard that ship was also Iris F. Harris. Now, pause. What is wrong with this? Pull it back up. What is wrong with this? Her middle initial.
Iris P.
Why on earth? Now, it makes sense that Iris and Alvis and Alvis's wife are all on the ship together coming from Jamaica. They make a stop. The last port they stop at is Nassau, Bahamas, before they arrive into Miami. But why is Iris's middle initial F? She was not born. She was never married into a Finnegan family. Why did she adopt that middle initial? That's huge. It's very strange that she would have done that. Remember, Donald is alleging that Black Iris, the great-grandmother, right, at no point her last name would have been Harris, just Finnegan. She was born Iris Aura Allen, again, just reiterating that, and she became Finnegan when she got married to Patrick Finnegan. So we know that this is not her on board this ship with the Harris last name. We know for a fact that that is our White Iris who married Oscar Harris. But she never had a middle initial F. I think this is the earliest indication that she was taking on the identity of the help. I remain convinced that Miss Iris
taking on the identity of the help. And that right there is what I was saying. I'm like, why would she put this woman in there? So is she saying like this woman was like a grandmother to her? If that was the case, she could have put in her book, well, this is not my grandma, but she was like more of a grandma to me. Like, it's ways to explain things. And then she just taking on, this is my grandma. So that's the reason why I'm saying it's just so confusing. And this is what Kamala Harris do. She lied to the people, and we got to try to figure this stuff out because she's not going to answer these questions. The mainstream media is not going to ask her about this. They're not. So it's crazy that, like I said, if this is true, that's what she's doing. She's just saying this person is her grandma, knowing this person is not her biological grandma. Like, this right here is bad.
Was in fact the help. I told you guys yesterday that we are trying to locate this older woman who wrote this comment under a YouTube video. It actually wasn't even our YouTube video. It was somebody else that was covering my content. She wrote this, if you want to pull that comment up. I am 76 years old. Years ago, I read an article about Kamala's family of slave owners. Miss Iris was one of the house slaves of Kamala's family. When the slaves got set free, Miss Iris was old and didn't want to leave the family. Miss Iris also had a daughter who was raised in the house with Kamala's family. Kamala's parents worked out of town a lot, so Kamala was basically raised by the black women that worked in that house. If I remember correct, her mom was a professor in some big universities, and possibly her father held a government job and traveled a lot. I can't remember where the article was, but if you find it, you will have all the proof that you need. So I really would like to pick this woman's brain. I would like to speak to her and see if she can recall where this was published, because that so fits into everything that I've been saying. And like I said, part of this was just me exploring my own heritage. Like I told you, my grandfather obviously was one of these families after slavery was abolished that opted in North Carolina. His family opted to just stay and continue working as sharecroppers. And so they worked on the same family that had enslaved them, they now worked for. So that makes sense. What that woman posted makes sense, but a YouTube comment is not proof. No. Do think seeing Iris F. Finnegan is some early indication. Now, there's even more proof, of course, that at the very least, the bare minimum, Kamala Harris is not black. It isn't just Janet Jackson. Funny who the media picks on and who the media stays away from. Because Judge Joe Brown has the credentials. This is a person that...
Oh yeah, that's another thing that I was going to bring up. Judge Joe Brown absolutely just went off on Kamala Harris. Like, Judge Joe Brown, like, he knows a lot about Kamala Harris. And we covered some of them videos last month when Judge Joe Brown was just absolutely, like, he would just go on some shows and just expose Kamala Harris. And I'm pretty sure Candace is finna go ahead and show some of those clips. So if you haven't seen what Judge Joe Brown had to say, please stay tuned.
They know is intelligent, has had a talk show on TV, I guess you could say a judge show on TV for a very long time.
Yes, it did.
And many of you guys were emailing me clips of him on the show discussing the fact that he knew Kamala's father and that he just simply knows that the family is not black.
Yep.
Take a listen to this first clip before we jump into the second one.
She was everybody's favorite Hindu Indian prosecutor and attorney general and senator, and now she becomes black. But, you know, I met her daddy, fine gentleman, Professor Harris. And the problem with her being black is Professor Harris says he's Caucasian, mixed Irish and Hindu. He doesn't have any black ancestors, but his Irish ancestors owned a lot of slaves in Jamaica and had them to work on plantation. So if mama is on the birth certificate listed as a Caucasian, daddy says he's a Caucasian Hindu and has no black ancestors, how did she get to be black?
I told y'all, Judge Joe Brown was not playing around, so he actually met her father. And he know for a fact that Kamala Harris is not black, and this is the only thing she gonna continue to do. We're all sick of this dumb, crazy laugh. Man, forget that. That's all she gonna do is just continue to laugh. So Judge O'Brien exposed the mess out of her. Let's go.
The math is not mathing. How did she become black? It
How?
doesn't make sense. Okay? It only makes sense if you stole the identity of the help, which is so sick,
Oh, that
so
would be
twisted,
bad.
so diabolical, so offensive.
That will be so offensive. You stole the identity of the help and then using this person that was watching the kids or stuff or whatever the case may be, and you using her identity to try to say that you're black. That is very, very wrong. And she need to be called out on it.
We demand a response to this. Like I said, if a single black person is okay with this and votes for her because the media simply decided to make her black, to essentially wave a little Harry Potter wand and go, oh, okay, we just need you to be black because we need those black votes, right? And you're okay with that.
That's crazy.
You should really re-examine your life.
Yep.
You should deeply, spiritually search within yourself to determine what is wrong with you.
Exactly.
That you would allow this sleight of hand to allow to compel you to vote for this woman, despite her horrific record, by the way, of locking up black men. Who is this woman? 2 parents that were committed communists. Who is this woman? And that's not all Judge Joe Brown had to say in the matter of Kamala Harris. Take a listen.
And the birth certificate that she has is interesting because the confusion comes from a mistake. On the birth certificate, it lists the mother's race as Caucasian, national origin India, and religion Hindu. For the father, it does not list national origin. It does not list religion. It does not list anything about that, but where it says race, they put national origin in Jamaica by mistake. Now, if you've ever been to Jamaica and you go over to St. Elizabeth Parish, you see all the high, bright, and white that live in Jamaica. So I've got a good friend retired from law enforcement. He has a white wife, blonde-haired, blue eyes, but she was born in Jamaica. Her parents were born in Jamaica. One's blonde and blue-eyed, the other one's red-haired and gray-eyed. And they happen to be related to the King of England because they're aristocrats in England, but they were born in Jamaica. It's not unusual. You're not black just because you're from Jamaica, and you have a whole lot of white people that never left, and their ancestors owned a lot of slaves. The Maroons went up into the hill country and got themselves free back in the 1840s, but, you know, other than that, it is what it is in Jamaica. So just because you're from that country does not mean you are of the black race. So the problem is why don't you go get your daddy to give you an affidavit that you have a black ancestor? And since the only possible claim you have is through your great-grandmother, who he says was a Hindu house servant, that just happens to be swarthy, where'd you get your blackness from? See, you're faking it.
Wow, boy, Judge Joe Brown ain't coming to play. Woo! Dropping bombs. Judge Joe Brown. And this is what he did. And I told you, it's countless of videos out there with Judge Joe Brown absolutely breaking this stuff down. But these are questions Kamala Harris is not going to answer. Just imagine Judge Joe Brown interviewing Kamala Harris. Oh, my God. And Judge Joe Brown ain't finna do what these 2 basketball players just did and everybody else who won't give any pushback, asking her the same questions the woke media is asking her. They didn't give any pushback. That's why you need people like a Candace Owens, a Benny Johnson, Judge Joe. You need people who ain't gonna let her get away with that crap and keep repeating the same thing. I grew up in a middle class. Are we better off now than we was 4 years ago? And she started talking about her mom, people lawns. She grew up in a middle class. She says the same thing over and over, never answers any questions. And these people just let her get away with it. So let her get in front of Candace Owens, Benny, Megyn Kelly. Let her get in front of somebody like that. You ain't finna get away with none of that. You gonna answer them questions or you gonna walk out the room once.
And again.
Hindu house servant.
Yep.
Is what they are alleging that Iris was. And I am telling you, the fact that I just picked up on that in a vibe in a picture, do not tell me women do not have good gut instincts. I was just like, there's just something about the photo. It just wasn't loving. It felt very much like the help who got close with the kids but didn't want to be too close to the kids because, you know, you never know when the mom's going to get upset because you're too close to the kids, kind of a kid situation. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? A lot of this stuff is just common sense, but it's just not that common anymore. People are just like, I cannot believe my own eyes. I need to
Yeah, because when I was looking at it, because if you look at the picture, The way like the housewoman, like she wasn't even, whoever was taking that picture, she wasn't even looking at them or the baby. She was like looking straight off at somewhere else, holding the baby, and whoever was taking a picture, it's like she wanted, because normally like a grandma, how it don't matter who it is, when they holding the baby, they either looking down at the baby, smiling, some type of affection or something. But she was just kind of looking off into like space, just looking off somewhere else while another person was taking a picture, and this kind of made you wonder, like, why is this like this? So let's go.
The media, and CNN says that she's Jamaican. And then people were just confused. Like, they were literally asking the question, she was in Jamaica. How can you say that she's not black? How can you
what that's supposed to mean?
Even ask me this question? Like where is your common sense?
That don't make sense.
If I up and move to Sweden, I get to suddenly say I'm white? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, Candace said that the other day, just like we end up just saying, I'm going to leave here, move to Russia, move to Sweden, and all of a sudden I'm white because I moved there. My race don't change. I'm still the same person. Whatever my race is, it's going to be the same regardless of wherever I move to. Like, a lot of people is just not using their brain, man. They just saying anything. The problem is they got to stop listening to CNN, MSNBC. You got to realize they ain't going to say nothing bad about Kamala Harris. They want her to play this black card. They want her. The problem is that they want her to lie to black people. They like CNN. They don't care about black people. They want you to lie to. They want Kamala to lie to black people. The reason why she's running off, she's black, but yet she's in video saying she's Indian. It's like it just don't make any sense, and I don't like the fact that they don't push back on her. Like she just did this interview 2 days ago with these basketball players. Why didn't they ask her when she said that she was black? She talked about I'm black, my sister black. Why didn't they push back and say, well, Kamala, why in this video right here that you said that you was Indian? Why did you say that if you knew you was black? Like, it's that type of stuff that pisses us off when these people do these softball interviews. That's why people don't like Kamala Harris. They don't take her serious because she keep going to people who's not going to ask her the tough questions. She keep going to people who's not going to push back on the dumb rhetoric and stuff that she be saying. It's like, come on. How many times is you going to continuously lie? You literally said you was Indian. Now, one time when the woman said, I'm Indian, you Indian, she said, yes. And then she tell them she's black. And all they had to do was show her the video or tell her, say, well, why did you tell this other woman that you was Indian when y'all was in the kitchen finna grade and cooking stuff? Why did you tell her you was Indian instead of black? They didn't do it. That's what she keep getting away with.
You guys, I mean, this is like common sense. Of course, there are white people in Jamaica. There are white people everywhere. There are white people in Africa. Does not make them black. Elon Musk is not a strong black man. As much as I would love for him to be able to say he's a strong black man to really upset the left, that's just not the circumstance. It is no version of reality that we exist in. And so this is fascinating. This is fascinating because this shows you a tremendous character flaw that we are stumbling upon. And a person that will steal an identity, like I said, a true communist trade. This is what they did. They were the best at it. They always took on different names. They took on different identities. They would style themselves differently. You have to remember that there was this influx of people also that were coming in from Russia. So many of the ills that we have in society today is because we received so many immigrants and there was no correct process of filtration to determine which one of these psychos, amongst these people, how many of these people were the absolute psychos that were mass murdering Christians, okay? Mass murdering Christians leading up and after World War II and throwing us into gulags versus people that were actually escaping for freedom. There was no method. There was just an open season of people moving around the world. This is what happens at the end of wars. This is why wars are dangerous. This is why you cannot detach war from various refugees' crises. And what refugees' crises implicate is that people who are bad can slip in through country borders. That is why wars are problematic, and I can't stand the war class that constantly is arguing for more wars. We're going to get to that, okay? So by the way, everything he just said makes complete sense if our suspicions are correct, right?
Yep.
Iris Cambridge is Irish. She is. And Oscar Harris is mixed Irish. That would make Donald Harris majority white. So if Kamala has a majority white father and an allegedly fully Indian mother who I have my suspicions about, but I'm still taking my time to investigate her mother. I know I promised you that would be today, but I just want to dot my I's and cross my T's. Then that would make her indeed Indian Irish, just as Judge Joe Brown recalls. And again, this would be such an easy thing for Donald J. Harris to speak out against. You have two educated people. He'd be like, hey, Judge Joe Brown, what are you talking about? Why are you lying? Do you really think a judge would go on air and say all of those things, risking his reputation, his professional reputation, by just lying boldly? And to what end, by the way? Why would Judge Joe Brown, right? Just, again, common sense. Let's invoke a little bit of common sense here. Why would Judge Joe Brown want to come out and claim that he knew that Donald J. Harris was not black? Why would he come out and claim that Kamala Harris was not black? How does that serve anything? He would want her to be black, right? He would love the idea of the first black female president. This is sick and this is disturbing. But by the way, just speaking of that genealogy, speaking of the very likely conclusion that she is majority Irish, that Donald J. Harris is majority Irish, it would also explain why the aforementioned Chris Harris, who signed off on Oscar Harris's death certificate as his son, that's him. These people look like Kamala's relatives. This would be Donald J. Harris's brother, who he intentionally chose not to mention in his piece, probably because, we're trying to make everybody think that Kamala is black. We need the help. We don't need the actual relatives. And this would be an actual relative. That man is extremely light. That man looks like he could be majority white, just as all of the documentation that we have is pointing to. That man would be the son of Iris Harris, who stole that middle initial for whatever reason and became Iris F. Harris on a ship manifest. And speaking of Donald Harris, by the way, I brought this up to you yesterday. What little we can find about him points to the fact that he may have been involved in drama and theater. We were able to confirm him as a student at the Titchfield Secondary School. So that would be like the equivalent to a high school here. This is an article that we found from June of 1955, and you can see highlighted, that Donald Harris is listed under boys under 19. So in 1955, he would have been 17 years old, and you can see that he's listed under a Festival of Arts concert, big event. And then we found another article from 1960, and I think this could be Donald Harris because we haven't been able to find any other Donald Harrises in Jamaica around this time, but he's again in a play. I couldn't read it too close. It looks like it's called Terminus there on the left-hand side. He's playing one of the attendants.
All I can say, they messed up when they went after Janet Jackson. When they went after Janet Jackson, Candace Owens came back striking. And the thing about it is, Candace Owens is just getting started. She ain't stopping until she figure everything out. Because the problem is that when you trying to run as president, especially when you trying to run as these identity politics crowd, like you trying to use that you're black to sway black people to vote for you, even though a lot of us ain't falling for it, you still got a few black people out there that's still falling for the crap, thinking that this woman is black when she's not. It's like they act like they never seen video of her saying she's Indian. They act like they never seen videos of what she did to this black mom who had like a daughter that was in and out of the hospital. I just did a video on that 2 days ago. Make sure you go on my channel. It's like the third video down, where this black mom exposed her because she tried to send this black mom to jail. I think it was like for 100 days because she couldn't send her daughter to school because her daughter was in and out of the hospital because of sickle cells and even more stuff, that her daughter was just always in pain and she couldn't send her to school. The teachers understood it. The entire school, everybody understood it. And Kamala Harris wanted more money because the more attendance that kids are being in school, the more money she was making. And she still was trying to put this woman in jail. And it just don't make any sense. It was a black woman. So it's like that type of stuff. It's like, come on. And she was locking people up for weed. And then she go on a breakfast club and say she smoked weed. So this woman is just fake. And I can't tell how people don't see it. I know a lot of us watching see it. But you're going to get her supporters to still try to say, well, she this, she that. They're going to try to find a way to take her for. We know that.
Play that has this scene that's at the portal of death. It says that they are performing the last rites, and that the play was written by a 20-year-old named Dennis Scott. So what are we to conclude from all of this? The reason why I'm bringing up the fact that he may be in the arts is because this was a focus for a lot of communists, like being able to sell yourself. It is something that I have brought up on the show many times. If you begin to look into the history of a lot of these world leaders who look to me like D-list actors, who behave like D-list actors. Don't even get me started on Zelensky constantly wearing military fatigues because he's trying to sell to us that he just needs more and more money and he's really down in the trenches, while we hear rumors that his wife is on shopping sprees in Paris. Don't get me started on the fact that it is true that Zelensky was an actor, a well-known actor. He played the role, okay? President Zelensky played the role of a president on a TV show before he actually became the president of Ukraine. Are we joking? Are we joking? I have to ask that question. Yes, he was in the arts. There's photos of him dressed up in latex and dancing, and it's all very a lot. It's all very a lot, my friends. That's all I'll say about that.
Man.
You have Justin Trudeau. You have Emmanuel Macron, how he met his husband. He was in drama. He was in the drama class of Brigitte Macron. And so I just don't like when I start to see people who I believe are dedicated communists, who I can trace back to a history of theater. Yeah. Again, we don't have a confirmation that that's definitively him, but I would say all the signs point to yes. And we are continuing to investigate him and his relationship with Shyamala Goblin, because I believe that a lot of these marriages at this time, and again, this is a theory not yet proven, were just arranged marriages to get papers. That they had a goal of getting papers, they had a way of getting papers. Sometimes it was simply to have a child get papers, to have anchor babies that could get papers. Whatever the system was, it appears to me that we should be taking a close look at what was motivating all of these marriages and these marriage announcements. I can't find these marriage certificates, but I can always find a marriage announcement. Even that, to me, feels somewhat suspicious.
Yeah.
So we are definitely going to continue to investigate that. Those are just the updates that I have for you today. We're going to take a pause there. Thank one.
All right, man. Salute to Candace Owens, doing a good job. Like I said before, she's not slowing down. And every time, like I said, she cover another topic about this, you better believe I'm coming with the video so y'all don't have to miss out. Make sure y'all please go over, go show Candace Owens some love, subscribe to her channel. Like I said, I'm helping her get this content out so even more people can see it, because she getting 1 million, 2 million views every single video. So if I can react to it and get a lot of views, or whatever views I can get, that'll get it to even more people who probably haven't seen it. So, and I've been getting a lot of y'all in the comment section saying, Adogg, please keep the Candace Owens content coming. It's very entertaining, and it's opening our eyes to what's really going on. So salute to y'all, and I will continue to bring y'all the content. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Make sure you got your notifications turned on. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.